Hi guys, welcome back to watching Nelly Doing Things. I am back again to talk about the Twilight Zone. This episode is gonna be a very good eye opener, if you know what I mean. So before I get all into it, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, which is Nelly Doing Things, and also don't forget to leave a comment below, and don't forget to hit that notification button while you're down there as well. So let's get right on to it. The story today we're going to be talking about on Twilight Zone is called The Eye of the Beholder. So with this one, it actually does start off with a lady sitting in a hospital bed. And it's just showing her sitting there and her face is completely, fully covered with bandages. You think, oh, someone got some surgery, someone got something done, they were hurt, they got an accident, you know, what is it, right? There is a nurse, and when she is coming up to the patient, it gives like she's giving her medicine and kind of just talking to her, like comforting her and whatnot, right? The lady is asking the nurse about the outside weather. How was it today? You know, was it great? Was it sunny? Was it warm? Was it anything like that? She asking her any question about the outside world. So, because apparently she can't see nothing. She got a whole face scrapped up in bandages, you know? And then she asks her next, when can she take off the bandages? Because she has a full face of them, y'all, like a full face of them. And then she goes into the backstory of, ever since I was a little girl, I remember showing my face and this other little girl seeing her face. And she ran off screaming and people were terrified of her face. And so I'm thinking like, okay, so what's on this girl's face? Maybe she just has a little, you know, condition, maybe a little deformity per se. Pretty much the nurse tells her pretty soon we will take it off. Just be patient. The nurse goes out from her room after she gives her whatever medicine that they're giving her. Yeah, I believe his name is Dr. Bahardi. Pretty much she says the patient is ready for you anytime you want to go into the room with her. So he's like, okay, thank you, nurse. So then the nurses are both together chatting it up, right? And they both, which this still kills me back then in the day, that literally they are sitting there smoking on the job. They're just like, you know, pass a cig while they're on chat, like that kind of thing. It's just, it's so funny. I mean, it's bad. Killed a lot of people, but it's just kind of funny to see them just doing it on the job, like, you know, hey, this is my break, what are you talking about, you know, that kind of situation. Nurse talking to her and she said, have you seen her face? And then the other nurse said, yeah, I have, poor thing. I said, okay, what's going on here? She pretty much said, if that was my face, I would just bury myself in a grave. Some people just want to live no matter what. I'm like, dang, girl, that's so mean, that's so rude. Notice one thing, they keep avoiding in this episode showing their face. You see their nurse hats and everything, right? But that's pretty much it. The narrator, which is interesting in the middle of it this time. So the narrator comes out and says, suspended in time and space at the moment, introduction to Janet Tyler. So our lady laying in the bed, her name is Janet Tyler. In a very private world of darkness. In a moment, we will go back and forth into the room, and in a moment, we'll look underneath those bandages. Keeping up, of course, to not be surprised of what we see. This isn't just a hospital, and patient 307 isn't just a woman. This happens to be the Twilight Zone, and we and Miss Janet Tyler is about to enter it. At 11 o'clock, the doctor's pretty much telling the nurse, the same nurse, to give her some medication. He goes up to Janet Tyler and he tells her, this is the last one. This is your 9th visit. 9th, isn't it? 9th? And then she corrects him and she says, the 11th time. And it's just sad, you know, to think like she's just been in these bandages for so long. She's starting to find comfort in them. You know, he tells her about all the shots of medication he's given her for all these procedures, saying, you know, all the rest of them have failed. The doctor walks toward the window in her room. And again, they're showing the back side of him, not the front side. 11 experiments are allowed only by the state. And then the doctor tells her there's only one option after this if this does not work out, Janet. He's pretty much telling her everyone wants to fit into society, to make you, you know, we're gonna try our best, you know, to make you look normal, and just all of this crazy sideways things, right? She starts begging him, please let me go outside. It's dark outside, because you know, now it's 11 o'clock, it's pretty much midnight. Let me go out, and please, just let me go out. She's like begging and crying about, let me just go to the garden. Let me just sit outside and let me just see. Let me just see, like, no one can see me. I'm out in the dark. And it's just, it's very cringy to watch it, because it's like, that's crazy that there are different things these days that people do that. especially people that manipulate, or, you know, it's wild to just see like it really just being like it's a normal thing for her to beg like that. It's just very cringe and very sad to see. And pretty much the doctor saying to her stuff that's just wild. Plenty of others that share your misfortune. Ugly people share your misfortune. That's just so mean and so messed up. Like, dang, like, yeah, there's people that ugly like you. I've seen and heard about it. Like, that's just cold. He pretty much breaks down to her, one alternative is to move to an area with others that have your own issue. People like you, she says pretty much, oh, people like me. Congregated, you mean segregated? And this is when she flips out. She starts yelling and crying. She said, doctor, you're talking about a ghetto, aren't you? A ghetto. Yeah, I was like, she said, with a bunch of freaks. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, girl. Man, and it's just so like, man, we went from ugly to the ghettos to the, this is a very emotional roller coaster of just, you're ugly. It's insane. He's telling her, you know, like, calm down, calm down. They always tell her, calm down. Don't be hysterical. Don't be hysterical. Calm down. Like, the doctor says the state is not insensitive. They wouldn't have you even here if they were. And now, you know, that whole routine, the state. And then he had the nurse say, well, now you know you can't expect to live a normal life with normal people. Come on, like, look at your face. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. And then she's all like, you know, who is the state? And I was like, yeah, girl, revolt, revolution. Who makes the rules anyways? Who's the state? Who makes the rules anyway? And she said, who makes the rules about different people staying away from normal people? Like, who made this rule, right? The state is not God. I said, whoop. And the doctor said, calm down. Whoa, calm down, ma'am. And she said, it doesn't have a right to make ugliness a crime. You can't make ugly a crime. I mean, you know, some people, the heart inside them so ugly, it should be a crime. But you can't make it physically ugly. You can't make that a crime. She just keeps screaming at the doctor, take it off me. Just take this off me. Take these bandages off. So he's like, okay, I'll take them off. Then they go to the next scene of him sitting in his room smoking, right? I guess his doctor's lounge room. He is sitting, I guess, trying to take a break. The nurse comes in and it's kind of weird, like, oh, she, you know, he messing with her or something, right? He pretty much tells her a miracle could happen. And the nurse said, you can't take this personal, this case or this operation, this experiment with this lady, right? And he pretty much tells her, I've seen underneath those bandages. And she said, oh, I have too. He's like, but I have really seen underneath the bandages. It tells her while he's standing at his window in his room. Again, they love the windows in this episode. They just love it. He's standing there on the window like, I have seen under the bandages. I've seen the lumpy skin and the skeletal mask of her face. He said, but it's a human face. Confusion. And the nurse says, you know, sorry to admit, but she prefers her with a mask on. And the doctor's like, well, why, nurse? What's the difference between beauty and ugly? Like, why do you feel like she's more of a human with that mask on, with the bandages on? Like, why? And the nurse tells him, calm down, be quiet now, be quiet. Calm down. She's like rubbing his shoulders and patting him, just calm down. Like, people can hear you. The same nurse that was at the counter earlier talking smack with the other lady, right? And she said, oh, the leader is about to come on. And so they turn on the TV and this screen drops down, right? And I said, oh, now we're gonna get to some nitty gritty. Okay. So when the screen does drop down, there is a man on the screen. You cannot see really his face again, but you do see these pillars and things behind him. He's behind a podium and he's wearing like some closed up kind of suit jacket thing, like up to his neck. Very just controlling. Let's just say that. And the leader says on the screen, and I quote, tonight I will talk about conformity and the delight of the United Societies. So pretty much she's talking about conforming. And then it cuts to the doctor having Miss Janet Tyler in her seat. And they all are around her, the nurses and the doctor. The doctor tells her to remain rational if this works or does not work. No, because she likes to run, apparently. We see that out of her. She likes to run and get me out of here, take it off. One of the nurses has a sedator. She will get sedated. He tells her he's going to cut off the bandages section by section and, you know, not to take off too much too quick because it may bother her eyes, the light, because she hasn't seen the light. We don't even know how long, y'all. We don't know how long those bandages been on. And he never really say. And then the doctor steps back and says, okay, this is the final layer. Do you know, you see the light, you see my hand coming over it. He's like, okay. He reminds her, you can live a normal life no matter what, okay? Even if this does not work, okay? Just remember that. Don't get too crazy. relax, you know, you can still live a normal life. We still have that other option. And, you know, she's talking about the get out. She says to the doctor, and I quote, I'm not your laugh. She says, if I'm still ugly, is there another alternative that I can just be put away? Girl, put away from what? And the doctor says to her, just answer right back. Well, Miss Tyler, the state does provide the options of exterminating undesirables. But we could definitely send you to the group of people with your disability instead. She said, or, you know, if I don't go to the people of that society that you so-called say that they would kill me. He said, yes. Dang, you ugly. Well, yeah, well, that's just wild. Like, when you think about that, ain't that just wild? So ruthless. Crazy to think there's people that think that way of other people. He unravels the final layer, and the doctors and nurses back up in horror. They're freaked out that he drops the scissors. He pretty much says to her, no success. No success. Like, he's freaked out. When she sits up, she looks up, and y'all, she is a curly, wavy kind of hair, normal looking lady. And that's what she ends up looking like. She gets up, freaked out, like, oh no, it didn't work. And then she runs toward the door again. And this time they catch her. And literally they show the nurse and that doctor holding her there like, stay still, stay still. And then they finally show the doctor's face. The doctor turns around. His face is a pig's face. I remember when I seen this, I said, what in the hell? His face was a deformed pig's face. Y'all, I love Twilight Zone. They always do this. They always like, we're gonna freak you out. Hope you enjoy. Put her, and the nurse even slowly turns around too, and she's a pig's face too. Everybody's a pig's face. They even show the nurse coming up trying to sedate her and calm her down. Pig face. She gets away from them, breaks through the doors, and they're chasing after her, and she's running around, running around. She runs away, and then the leader pops down on the screen. So their screens like roll down, and I guess it's all of the hospital, right? So when she's running around, she pretty much sees the leader screen pop down. And it says a single norm, a single culture, a single government. Like, he's saying pretty much everything needs to be this single norm. This is the norm. This is the only form of normal. It's the only form of normality. That we have a norm that we have to conform to. She throws like an object, something from that desk at him, and bam, busts the screen, and she's like running, running, running. She runs into this so-called waiting room, and there is a man standing there, a brown-haired, brunette-haired man. She runs in there and terror and horror when she sees his face, and she's freaked out. She's get on the ground. She's so scared, and the doctor finds her. That they've been chasing after her because she's running past the nurses, seeing all them. I like the one scene with the nurses she's running by there. It's like they, you know, hitting it off. Like, he's cute, she's cute. Like, they're flirting, right? And they see her running by, and they both stop and look like, what is going on? It's just very robotic and creepy. Twilight Zone. You know what I mean? Once the doctor finally finds her in that room, right? He's like, oh, he tells her, don't be scared. Don't be scared. And he finds her in the room, and the guy, he pretty much tells her, you know, you ran exactly into who you needed to run into. The man she just ran into is literally Mr. Walter Smith. He's one of the village group people from the north. So they from Canada? He starts telling Janet about it, you know, it is okay. Don't be scared. You know, it's all right. And she sees, you know, what Mr. Smith looked like. It freaks her out, of course, which, I mean, is understandable, especially if you don't know what's going on and you're thinking, you know, I'm so ugly and you kind of look like me. What is going on here, right? And he ends up telling her, you know, we have a lovely place with lovely people, and, you know, do not be afraid. It's okay. You know, all of that. And it's just wild to hear him like tell her like, it's okay. So after, look at that. Oh yeah. He said, I think you'll liken it with your own kind. You will definitely like it. In a little while, you'll feel normal. You'll feel loved and belonging. You'll have a belonging and love. Like I said, she's gonna learn that being around people that are of her own so-called kind. She asked Mr. Smith, why do we have to look like this? Why? It's so wild to hear her say it like that. Like, why do we have to look like this? Like, please tell me why. It's insane. Just insane to hear that, right? He said, I don't know, Miss Tyler, and it doesn't really matter. There's a very old saying, there is beauty in the eye of the beholder. He said, keep saying that to yourself. Just keep saying that to yourself. The more you say it, the more you eventually will see it, the more you will believe it. Both of them walk out the hospital, and both of them are greeted by the doctor and all of the nurses. And y'all, there is one of the nurses, one of the guys there, and he sees them walking out, and he's looking like, you ugly thing, you. So with Janet's leaving, the doctor says to Janet, goodbye, Miss Tyler. Goodbye. And she just walks out with her new man. No, she walks out with the Mr. Smith dude. This is the final look, guys. How do you like it? Is it beautiful? I think it's beautiful. You know, we need to get into the glossy eye look, especially with people like me that have oily skin. So when I'm just oily, it's a look, you know what I'm saying? And then the episode ends with the narrator saying, now the question comes to mind. Where is this place and when? Where ugliness is the norm and beauty is not the norm. The old saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. No matter what planet, lesson to be learned on the Twilight Zone. So y'all, that was a whirlwind of pretty much talking about beauty and ugliness. Which one really is it? Can you really sit there and say ugly and beautiful and this is beautiful and that's ugly? The beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and that's a very, very, very true statement. I may go on a little rant now, but about pretty much the, you know, especially with us women, you know, what is ugly, what is not, what is appropriate, what's not appropriate within us being just women. Women have to present themselves this way, and we have to, you know, we have to be beautiful, and if not beautiful, you're worthless. Me being a black woman, it's a lot of things we're told to conform to, even though it's, what does that mean as beautiful to you? That does not mean it's quite beautiful to me. It's a nasty word. Ugly is just, it's wrong, it's very subjective. One thing that was crazy to me is that the leader, and she's seen all this stuff, conformity and all this, it was pretty much about, I believe, kind of like dictatorship, communism. It's really like telling you, you must stay in this conforming, you know, not conform, be yourself. But it's funny, at a time like that, be yourself wasn't all the way for all people, especially of women of color, definitely. So it's just, it's really wild to see that. So this episode, did it teach you about beauty or ugliness? Guys, thank you for watching me, which is Nelly Doing Things. Don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to leave a comment below. And how'd you feel about this episode? Chat up with me below and let me know. And you guys already know what I'm about to say. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Bye. Happy Halloween.